poet myself, so obviously we have
Yeah,
different ways of
I mean,
writing.
you inspire me and your ability to improvise on the spot. And we've done it so often
Yeah.
where we've had, so I've done this thing where given Kishan like three words and he'll like create a rhyme on the spot. And I think like it's incredible what you can do. And
No,
I wish
thank
I
you.
could.
No, but thank you. But again, I just wanted to speak to a bit about your process. You do put all these things down on your on Instagram and stuff. Do you? Is it like, oh, today I feel like writing about this, or do you have this clear idea that you work on for a while? Like, how does your process work when it comes to poetry?
I feel and what I feel about, I write and then I build onto it. So it starts with what I'm feeling, I write, and then I convert that into a more refined version. And I really, I don't have like, that's one of the things that I struggled with as a, while I am an artist, I need to learn to be a commercial creator. But what I struggle with being a commercial creator is the frequency at which you have to churn out content, which is something I can't do because unless I feel about something, I can't, like the words won't just, come out. And so I feel about an issue and then I write down my thoughts or my feelings and then I, convert it into rhyme. And there's a lot of work that goes onto the original piece. So then I'll edit it, I'll refine it, I'll make the rhyme scheme more consistent, I'll, stabilize the meter so that it reads well. Then I'll learn my lines and I'll perform it. Then a lot of my work happens when I'm rolling cameras where I'm like, no, it looks better if I do this. It looks better if I this. I've slapped myself in like a bunch of poems. So every time I'm taking a retake, I've slapped myself perhaps 10 to 20 times for that one good slap that you see on camera because I'm also an actor, right? So this is all, everything that goes into the process is just a lot of building and refining till it reaches that production value that I always aim for.
Yeah. But something that I struggle with is knowing when a poem is finished. You know, like when is it done?
Yeah.
Like, cause
I so luckily the good thing with Instagram is I try to keep my videos, 1
1 minute.
minute.
Yeah.
So it's only one side of a Word document that I know like I have to. And of course I test it out on like I
Yeah.
time it to see if it's working. But I get what you're saying. So but please go ahead. I totally get what you're saying where it's
Yeah.
hard to sort of know like when is this enough. And with
Yeah.
spoken word actually, I really love when you have like a 2 or 3 minute performance because that's what consumes you. What I have to do is like a 1 minute thing, which is great and does well. But there's so much more to say about an issue that can be said with more time. So tell
Yeah.
me about that.
No, no, I think I definitely agree with you. Like I've never written for Instagram. I started writing like 8 years ago, right? And I just found it very difficult to luckily for me, I'm at the other end where I've got loads of content, but I haven't put it online yet. So
Yeah, and I've been pushing you to do it.
yeah, yeah, I know. And we had this whole conversation in India actually about that too. But I think for me it was again like so when I started writing, it used to be about what I was feeling that day. Like today, I'm feeling like this. I want to write about this. Or I'm just on the train. I'm going to work. I've got like half an hour. I feel to write. Let me write. And that used to be how I used to write, and it was quite sporadic. And it was about anything that I was actually feeling in that moment. And then when now that I've become a bit more consistent, and I actually write like writing books now, I write the titles of what I want to write about first. Like, what is this whole
Okay.
concept? Like, if I want to write a book about this, okay, how am I going to put it down? Now that I'm obviously writing not just poetry, but I'm writing just prose as well. And then when I write the titles down first, it gives me something to aim for. But the process is much slower
Yeah.
because obviously you don't feel like I want to write about
Yeah.
marriage today, for example. That was my previous book. Like that, it,
Yeah.
it becomes a slower process, but it becomes more meaningful because you know what you're aiming for. And
Yeah.
and I think a lot of that is and I think what you said as well about editing, I think it's so important that you don't get too attached to your words. Like everything
You
can
have to kill your darlings.
exactly everything can always be improved. Everything can always be you can like a whole like I've taken poems out of my like I haven't even included them in stuff.
I know.
I'm
And it's
like
the most painful thing to do.
yeah, and I think what I've learned as well, like it's starting to pain me less because I'm so consistent in my writing. I'm like, yeah, fine. There's always something better that's gonna come, and not to get too attached to your words because the moment you start getting attached to your words, the more it means to you, the more you can't change it, the more you can't see it objectively, and then it's you're doing it more harm to the craft because what I've realized is
Yeah.
like, for sure you know this too, like your poetry is for other people, it's not for yourself. Like this is what I've started to realize. Yeah, it's for myself until I finish. Once I finish and I record it, it's no longer for
Exactly.
myself.
Yeah.
Then it stops being for me. And
Yeah.
that's why I think for me, I'm like the worst when it comes to like what's going to connect to people, because stuff that I like for myself, like people don't usually like, and stuff that I
Yeah.
don't really like, people love. So there's this because I think
Yeah.
I'm still like in my head about how it was written and where I was when it was written,
Right.
and
Right.
about the rhyming schemes and all the stuff that people don't really care about.
Right.
Whereas people only care about, oh, that was an interesting thought, or oh wow, you made me feel this way.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's what I'm learning, is about how to connect to people rather than connect to their hearts rather than connect with their minds. Because once you
Yeah.
have their heart, you have them for longer. You know, this is what
No,
I've learned from my
definitely.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree totally with what you're saying. But I think that, there's an audience for everything, no matter how
Mm,
massy or niche that it is. So something that comes from the heart goes to the heart. The number of hearts that it goes to is, is a very relative thing. But one thing that I've realized with what you're saying about getting too attached to your poem, and that happens to me also, because we intensely, for example, I write a lot at night. I don't know, there's
mm.
something about the silence and just
Yeah.
the way
Same.
that the process happens.
Same.
Yeah.
Like, from
But what I've
11.
realized is,
So from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. is my favorite time to write.
same
Yeah.
exactly, that's the same
Yeah.
time zone. So basically what I've realized is that when we get so invested in our work, a tool that's really helped me is cut off from it for 1 2 days, don't think about it at all, and then come back to it. Because when you come back to it with that fresh lens, you can really slash stuff out that that
Mm.
it's not needed, to be there.
100%. I think that space in between your first look and your second look and your third look is so important.
Exactly, the
Yeah,
look.
yeah, because sometimes you don't even know where this poem is going. Sometimes I'm kind of stuck. Like I don't know how I
Yeah,
want to finish it. When I come in a couple of days time, I'm like, oh yeah, it's so easy. Just this is where you're gonna go. And
exactly,
sometimes
exactly.
like inspiration just hits you from anywhere, right? So a lot